Hi, welcome back to part 2 in the series of questions for God. And we are currently dissecting the anatomy of questions. So last week we talked about that in order for something to be a question, it needs firstly that the questioner doesn't know the answer, and secondly, that they want to know the answer. So today let's talk about why people are asking questions. Now, to ask a question, this is based on the assumption that you want to know the answer. Why don't you know the answer to this question? So it generally appears to be for one of two reasons. We ask questions because, one, I don't know the answer. And the reason I don't know the answer is because the answer's out there. There is an answer to this question. I just don't know it. And I'd like to find out. And the second kind is that the answer is unknowable. Meaning questions behind the motive that God will have in the world, questions about the future, questions perhaps about meaning in life, where it's not clear that there is a knowable answer. Yeah, I'd love to know the answer, and God knows the answer. That's what I'm going to ask God, but it's not knowable. But let's talk a little bit about the first kind of question. Is the question knowable? And if the question is knowable, have you put in the effort to find out the answer? So if someone comes to you and there's, you sold them a product, and they come to you and say, I don't know how to use it. And you say, you have an instruction manual. Did you read the instruction manual? And they say, no. So say, well, why don't you? Obviously, you don't know the answer. This is why the question, that's why the instruction manual is there. So if you're not going to read it, really what you're telling me is that, hi, I'm very lazy and I want answers to questions that I really couldn't be bothered to put the effort into to find the answer. Now, that's very frustrating as a person who's being questioned, and as I'm sure you found in your life, that people who could easily find answers to questions that they're just too lazy to find. So what that tells me is, as a questioner, is the individual really interested in the question? And if they're not interested in the question, am I really interested in giving them an answer? Because it's going to go in one ear and out the other. So ask yourself now, when you're asking a question, are you prepared to put in the effort? If I say to you, you've got a great question, he has a great book, he has an article, he has a website, it will answer your question. Would you be prepared to look for the answer? And if the answer is yes, well, now we've got a question on our hands. So that's part 2. We'll see you next week.